Hey guys, it's Penelope in London. I do want to show you and explain the archetypes, like the signs through the houses, going from Aries right through to Pisces. I'm going to give you some keywords that is good education. And also I do read charts, and I also help people understand trauma and imprints and how to evolve the early life trauma. And what we can do is use astrology. It's a brilliant tool for understanding ourselves. Chiron, the wounded healer, and then, basically Pluto and the North Node and the South Node are all indicators of where we're heading in life and what, the best plan is for ourselves. So it's a brilliant tool. Please subscribe if you've not subscribed to my channel, but this now I'm going to show you. This is a chart right now in the UK, London, and I'm going to run through from Aries, which is here, first house, all the way through to the 12th house, and I'm going to give you some keywords to consider when you're understanding your own chart. So Aries, for instance, I will tell you as well that my 5th house is actually Aries. So, once you've got your birth time, you'll have your rising sign, and from that you will know what your first house is from the rising sign. But always the first house and each house has this definition as well. So we integrate the chart. If this makes sense, the first house, like my first house is the cusp of Scorpio. I'm Scorpio rising, but still the first house has the first house energy. Okay, here goes. So the first house we're looking at here, and we're looking at the words we're looking at are primal, spontaneous enthusiasm, initiative, expression of will, superhuman, initiation, and special destiny. We're looking at war, where somebody could be a loner. It's about the self. It's also, the ruler is Mars of Aries, so that's to do with violence. It can be to do with our sexual instinct, impatience, anger, and feeling limitations, separation, anxiety of separation, independence, identity, freedom, desire nature, and desires in general. And we've also got self-interest and warrior, pioneer, and destroyer, and paranoia. So these are some of the words for Aries, and the ruler of Aries is Mars. Then we got Taurus in the 2nd house. The 2nd house is Taurus, and here we've got security, where we, isolated, where we could feel isolated, self-sufficiency, withdrawal, patience, personal value, self-esteem. It's personal worth, stagnation, and it can be to do with starvation, poverty, giving up, suppressing emotions, cautious, where we could be literal and materialistic. It's about possessions, where it could be a landowner, to do with carpentry, a shepherd, where we can be shut down, stubborn, hoarding. It's to do with the body and pleasure. It's to do with survival, beauty, values, inner resources, procreation, preservation, and self as a resource. It's to do with our values and needs. And the ruler of Taurus is Venus, so that's the 2nd house. The 3rd house is Gemini, okay, here. The 3rd house is to do with where we can be learning, and it's to do with speaking, writing, communication. It's about thinking, and it's left brain. It can be duality and information. It's to do with opinions. It can be to do with lies and the trickster, where we can be cynical, literal, superficial, and scattered. And it's to do with our logic, short journeys, intellectual doubt, rationalization, and fluctuating viewpoint and short-term memory, instability, ever-changing. It's the teacher, the scribe, and it can be to do with trade and being a merchant as well. And the 3rd house is ruled by Mercury when it's Gemini. Then we've got the 4th house, which is to do with the ego, the womb, security, protection, mother, family, children, childhood environment, the home, roots, our ancestors, the clan, needs, neglect, helpless, where we can be feel helpless, protection, and it's to do with our inner world and emotions. And the housewife or husband, gender roles, subjective, where we can be touchy, and it's self-image as well. And the ruler of Cancer is the moon. Okay, now the 5th house, we've got Leo, and we've got here subjective awareness, grandiosity, grandiose, creative self-actualization, ruler, the king and the queen, power, arts, inflation, positive and negative, that can be involvement, drama, integration, purpose. It's where we can be full of ourselves and we wanting approval, involvement, exhibitionism, applause, the artist, the child prodigy, fame, romance, creativity, special recognition, and being noticed as well. We can gamble here. It's where we can gamble on things, the actor or actress, the affairs and adultery, the risk taker, children, inner need, and the mistress as well. So that's interesting. And that is the ruler of the 5th house is Sun. Then we got the 6th house. Okay, so the 6th house is to do with service. It's where we can feel inferior. It's the servant and, you know, there's the slave archetype, the apprentice. It's to do where we can be the victim. It's humility and humiliation, self-sacrifice, the martyr, persecuted, perfection, shame, discipline, inadequacy, aloneness, and existential void, self-improvement, and it's our place in society, and perfection as well. Self-improvement, it can be to do with where we might feel lack. It's to do with our health, critical thinking, guilt, masochism and crisis, and the nurse and medicine, healing, and the virgin, nun, discernment, reality, and craftsmanship as well. And the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. Okay, 7th house is Libra, and the keywords here are being social. It's about the other, objective awareness, comparison, relationships, pleasing others, projection, and others' needs. We've got extremes, polarity, and denial. It can be where we have the mask, relativity, relatedness, codependency, and listening. And it's where we can be flirty. It's about beauty. It can be surface and shallow. There can be half-truths. There can be boundaryless. But it's about partners, social grace, and choices. And also it can be where there's damaged trust, intimacy, appearance, idealism, philandra, Casanova, and intimacy. And the 7th house, Libra, is ruled by Venus. And we've got the 8th house now, and the 8th house is Scorpio. And keywords here are where it's about commitment and merging, and fear of entrapment. It's betrayal, compulsions, obsessions, fear of vulnerability, and fear of intimacy. It's also can be, you know, about spying and sex and resourcefulness, power and powerlessness, shared resources, magic and curses, corrupt power, merging, I think I already said that, abandonment, and it's also to do with loss, abandonment, and betrayal, Scorpio. So it's metamorphosis and paranoia and phobias, sexual violence, it can darkness, covert and secret, and taboo and alchemy as well. And then we've got the psychological and also fascination, intensity, and the priest and priestess, and also destruction. Okay, so the ruler of Scorpio is Pluto. And then we've got Sagittarius, the 9th house. And Sagittarius is to do with being adaptable. It's about beliefs and where we can be dogmatic, and philosophy, intuition, honesty, long journeys, pilgrimage. It's multicultural, it's wisdom, meaning. It's to do with foreigners, immigrants, ideals and ideas. And the nomad, it can be, you know, where we're homeless or feel homeless, expansion, trust and faith and truth. And missionary, the priest, sales, freedom, inspiration, explorer, It's where we can be restless and the wanderlust. It's half-truth, the silver-tongued devil, the shaman, alienation, natural law, teacher, guru, charmer. And we've got with Sagittarius, the ruler is Jupiter. Okay, so now we're on to Capricorn. And Capricorn is the 10th house here. And we've got authority, judgment, social position, maturity, old age, grief, oppression, repression, authority, and we've got discipline, totalitarian, fear, rigid, and it's the discipline, punishment, paralysis, conformity, suicide, isolation, futility, self-defeat, guilt, tradition, ancestral, man-made law, and boundaries and nationalism and structure and form. And we've got patriotism and politics, burden, depression, responsibility, fall from grace, and conditioning by the family and the society. And the 10th house and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And then we got the Aquarius keywords, okay? Aquarius is the 11th house in astrology. And this is about individuality, individuation, rebellion, liberation from conditioning. It's group hysteria, like-minded groups and secret societies. It's the anarchist, long-term memory, hopes and ideals, alienation, community, fragmentation, the tribe. We've got the splitting, unique, shocking, projection, hyperactivity, trauma, and mass trauma. And here we've got Prometheus as well, that's mythology. And the astral plane is where we can have been cast out, ostracized, and telepathic and objective awareness. And then the Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. And then the 12th house is Pisces, the last in the chart. And we've got here, where we can have psychic, astral glamour, addiction, escape, hopeless, helpless, weak boundaries, illusions, the savior, martyr, persecuted, victim, disillusionment, illusions, alcoholism, mystic, medium, the priest, transcendence, the surrender, subconscious, weak boundaries, also suffering, innocence, the fool, wounded, suicide, lost identity, masochist, fantasy, naivety, and poetry as well. We've also got drugs, disbelief, disassociation, dreamer, confusion, isolation, loss and erosion, as the musician here as well, and guilt, individual and the collective guilt as well. So then we would look at the chart, you see, and you begin to look at what planets you've got in particular houses, and you begin to integrate all of this information to understand yourself and then the aspects. But what I'm going to show you now is this is the chart of now. And this is, we've got Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all conjunct. So if you can remember the 10th house Capricorn, if you want to click this video back and understand, then what you would do is understand what the meaning of the planet is, what the planet is, and then the house it's in, what it means, So these three planets are in Capricorn, and Capricorn holds the 10th house. In your own chart, this symbolism may be somewhere else. For me, this symbolism is in my 2nd house currently, which is about my needs and values. So it begins to draw a picture of what's going on. Then what we also have, we've got these three planets are retrograde, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter retrograde. We've got Neptune also retrograde. We've got Chiron retrograde, and we've got Uranus, which went retrograde a week ago. And the North Node is always retrograde. It goes this way around the chart, and all of the other planets go this way. So we've got the Sun conjunct Mercury at the moment, and we've got the Moon in Scorpio until tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow morning, depending where you are in the world. And then we've got Mars in Aries, and that's going to go retrograde on the 9th of September, back to 15 degrees. And we can see that we've got Mars squaring all of these planets up here, and we've also got Lilith, which you can't see, which is also squaring the planets up here. And we've got an opposition to Venus, which is to do with our needs. And we can see from this symbolism, we can begin to see what's going on in the world. We've also got that Neptune currently is hitting, not the AC, it's let's have a look here. Neptune is AC, so the AC is here at the moment, it's in Leo, but depending on where you are in the world, so don't take that as a given right now. And then we've got Uranus, which is square to the AC as well, and you know, we begin to see anyway. So the moon is currently sesquare, which is 135 degrees to Chiron. So all of this means something. The moon moves quite quickly. If you can see it there, it's 23 degrees and it's in Scorpio. So I'm going to go hour ahead and you can see the moon moving. See here, 25, 25, 26, 20, 27, 28, 29, there you go. And then it's in Sagittarius. And then it's doing something different, but we can still see that we've got this square going on to Mars, which is causing a lot of frustration and anger. And when we need to understand what this is doing when it goes retrograde for us. So I'll do another video on that for us that will come in the next week. Thank you for watching. If you want a session with me, just book me. Look at my booking page below or on my YouTube channel below my video. Thank you.